Bazali, this is Teacher Lwazi, and in this video I'll be talking about counting. I'll be doing an overview from grade 1 to grade 3 of the expectations. Let's get started. Getting your child to be a successful counter isn't just as simple as it sounds. There are complex processes that play into it. Just to mention a few, your child should understand that numbers grow in magnitude. For example, if you're counting from 1 to 100, your child should understand that the numbers are growing. And when you're counting from 100 backwards to 1, the numbers are decreasing or they're getting smaller. Very important, your child should understand the how muchness of a number. For example, if you ask your child to give you 5 apples, they should only give you 5 apples and not 4 or 6. They should also understand that 5 or any other number is made up of individual elements that make that number. For example, 5 is made up of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which makes 5. Also, your child should be counting reliably. So if your child is counting from 0 to 100, they shouldn't be skipping any numbers. They should be counting consistently and the numbers should follow each other. For example, they're not jumping from 50 to 70. They should be counting in regular intervals. Now let's do the first grade, grade 1. In grade 1, they work with the number range of 0 to 100. This means that your child should be able to count from 0 to 100. They should also be able to count in ones. So, regular counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not skipping any numbers, remember. The next interval they're supposed to be counting in is twos. They should be counting in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 until 100. The next interval is 5. They should be counting in fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, up to 100. They should also be counting in tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, up to 100. What really helps is if you have a number chart where your child actually points at the number that they're counting. If your child is struggling to count in intervals, you can just get another number chart and color in the intervals. For example, if they can't count in fives, color in all the numbers that count in fives. Actually, do it with your child. Ask them to count all the numbers to color in all the numbers that count in 5, and then it will be easier for them to count in fives. But this is not the aim. Ultimately, your child should be able to count in fives without even looking at the number chart, but they should be able to recognize the numbers. Another great point about counting in twos is not just counting in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 intervals, but also counting in odd intervals, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Also note that when you're counting in intervals, it's not just about counting forward, but your child should also be able to count in those intervals backwards also. Let's move on to the next grade, grade 2. In grade 2, your child is working within the number range of 0 to 200. This means that your child should be able to count reliably from 0 to 200 and backwards in the following intervals. In 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 10s. If your child is struggling to count in those intervals, do the same thing you did in grade 1. Have a 200 number chart that has numbers colored in the intervals that your child is struggling in. Remember, like grade 1, you always count using a number chart to make sure that your child is counting the correct number. They still do count concrete objects in grade 2, but they use bigger intervals to count, or they use estimation also. But that's another concept that needs another video for me to explain. Moving on to the last grade in the foundation phase, grade 3. In grade 3, the number range has grown. The number range is now from between 0 to 1000. At this stage, your child should be able to count from 0 to 1000 in ones, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 10s, 20s, and 25s. Also, they can count in other intervals in between. This is what we call number fluidity. When counting, you don't always have to start from 0. You can start from any number. For example, if you have a child in grade 1, you can ask them to count from 51 to 70. I know it sounds a little random, but they should be able to move around numbers comfortably. Ultimately, when counting, would love your child to reach a level of number fluidity. This is being able to count in any interval from any number. For example, asking your child to count in fives from 33, the next number would be 38, and then 43, and then 48, and so on. Thank you for watching. Remember to follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you.